Robert Lorick, 1972. I wish Robert were here to read this. He could do so much better than I can. But, given the content, it'd be rather difficult. It's been 4 years since Robert died. I wrote this a few days after his passing. Robert Lorick died last week. As many of you know, he was the voice of Jack Flanders. Jack came into being in 1972 with The Fourth Tower of Inverness.
But Auntie, I'm not a member of Inverness. Am I?
And it was a fluke that Robert got the part. And when I was writing the script, this is Meatball Fulton, I had a very different actor in mind, but there was a scheduling problem, and Valerie Mamchus, who played Lady Jowls, said, I know someone. And she had Robert call me. We did an audition on the phone. He wasn't what I had in mind. I saw Jack as more of a two-fisted adventurer sort. The actor I was going to use had that kind of quality in his voice. But I liked the sound of Robert's voice. There was a sensitivity and a kindness and also a sense of humor. I thought, this might work.
Little Frida, something very strange.
What is it?
When I mentioned the Lotus jukebox to Auntie Jowls, the way she went, ah, yes, as though she already knew about it. Very interesting.
And so, between Robert and I, Jack Flanders came into being. And he loved playing Jack. He loved to escape New York City and come up here to spend a few days recording in the country.
Little Frida? Little Frida? She's gone. Vanished. Doesn't anybody stay in one place anymore?
Robert was also a writer. He had written a couple of successful Broadway musicals. One was The Tap Dance Kid, played by Gregory Hines. So whenever Robert came up to ZBS, this is back in our commune days, in the evenings after dinner, the whole gang would be sitting at a long dining table, and we'd have Robert tell us stories about New York and Broadway. And he was so entertaining, we started calling him Broadway Bob.
Dance?
Dance!
I can't dance.
Everyone knows the Marquis of Carumbas can dance. Dance! Dance!
All right. Dance. I can't dance.
That's terrible.
And I should mention, Robert was also the voice of Chanel. Yes, that's Chanel. Perfume. You'd hear his voice on their commercials. Of course, he didn't sound like Jack, but he certainly sounded smooth and suave.
Cassie, why are you here?
I'm waiting.
For someone?
Yes.
And then?
I can't say.
You can't say, or you don't know?
I can't say.
In 1973, a year after recording The Fourth Tower, when he was standing on a corner on 6th Avenue, waiting for the light to change, two guys asked him for a cigarette. When Robert explained he didn't have any, when the light changed and he stepped off the curb, one of them shot him in the back. He fell into the street, said he was laying there, unable to move, watching the car tires coming at him and then whizzing past his head. And the bullet was lodged next to his spine, and the doctors didn't dare remove it. The bullet remained there for the rest of his life. Robert often walked with a cane. This happened while I was traveling in Morocco recording sounds for the next Jack Flanders story, Moon over Morocco. When I spoke to Robert on the phone some weeks later, I could hear the pain in his voice, and I wondered if he'd be able to record, sitting in a studio for hours at a time. Robert said, I can do it. I decided to make things a little easier for him so Jack didn't have to carry the whole story by himself, and I wrote in a couple more characters, Casbah Kelly and Mojo Sam.
If you don't mind my asking, Kelly, do you make any money off this place?
Oh, well, you know, if there were a lot of people coming in all the time, it's just too distracting. Mojo,
Yeah, boss.
Flanders here is interested in yoga.
What?
You look like the type.
I've been practicing a thing. Maybe you got some ideas about it.
Well, I really don't know that much.
You know about projecting?
Projecting?
What you do is find a nice, clean piece of wall. White, cool plaster. That's good.
But still, it wasn't that easy. Our studio is located in a separate building, about 100 yards from the main house. And after a day of recording episodes from Morocco, Robert would get up and lean on his cane and slowly make his way over to the main house. But he never complained, and he did recover, though he often used his cane. And then, in 1980, Robert was back in the hospital. He was there for almost 2 months. The doctors had no idea what it was. He was getting weaker, and he thought, maybe this is it. And then a young doctor, he's from India, examined Robert and said, here's what caused it. And he took a pencil and made a little dot on the back of Robert's hand. And he said, this is the size of the bug that bit you. Turned out it was one of the first cases of Lyme disease. And with antibiotics, Robert recovered.
Huh? Here I am, somewhere in the middle of the Amazon, standing in the mouth of a cave even the Indians won't go in because of the evil spirits. It's raining. I'm soaking wet. It's getting dark. The vampire bats will be waking up soon. You know, on days like this, the malls don't seem so bad.
Oh, Jack.
There's an amusing story Robert told about the time an old friend stopped by and saw a poster for the Fourth Tower of Inverness in Robert's apartment, and his friend said, I love that series. Have you heard it? And Robert said, yes, I'm Jack. And his friend looked at him, and Robert said, yeah, no, really, I'm Jack. And his friend said, no, you're not. And Robert said, I am, I really am. And his friend looked at him like he was, just a bit crazy. Eventually, Robert did convince him by doing some of Jack's voice.
Well, I'm Jack Flanders.
Oh?
Over the final year of his life, Robert was in and out of the hospital. He needed a kidney. He was on dialysis. I was writing Green Velvet Chair. I didn't know if he'd be able to record it or not, but Robert kept assuring me, write it and I'll do it. And he was able to get a portable dialysis machine and had a friend drive him up here. At that point, he was using a cane and a walker, and he looked so frail. But he was still cheerful, and his voice sounded solid. The Green Velvet Chair came out in December, and Robert died the following month.
Well, goodbye, Jack.
I'd known him for a long time, 44 years. And there are so many stories we recorded in those years. In fact, there are 81 hours of Jack Flanders.
You promise to be good?
Of course.
Really?
I promise. You have no idea how good I can be.
Well, that sounds like the Madonna Vampire, all right.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places. Bye.
Oh, I miss him.